You might be fooled into thinking that this 2x4 came out of like an old building somewhere, right? Because it's like got this cool texture. But actually, we back dragged it on the bandsaw to give it these bandsawed marks to make it look like it was cut on a bandsaw sawmill.
You keep just rubbing it.
I just can't help myself.
How he's doing this.
I'm sorry, was I really?
And you can't even feel those things. What are you doing, man?
I just can't help myself. I mean, look. You might be right. I can't feel the surface, but I can detect its texture.
It transfers.
I really can.
It transfers right through.
It feels good.
You're holding something in your other hand. I guess is the reason. I'm still confused. You got fingers on your other hand.
I know. Well, I mean, these are just as good.
So the guy from Thompson, the gas guy yesterday,
Yeah.
He stopped by this morning and he said he left his impact here. Milwaukee.
Side of the road, going out last night.
No, you did not.
It was in the ditch.
Call him up. He
I thought it was Jono's. That's why I was taking it up to Jono. I thought it was
He
his.
said it was DeWalt.
No, he said no.
Dude, it was in the ditch.
Because I said, oh, we have DeWalt too.
Okay.
He said,
I know.
yeah.
I was wondering why you.
All right, let's call him.
Wow.
What we're trying to decide is how much of the post above the top of the handrail we want. Because it could be whatever.
Right now, there's a lot. Like
We got
2 feet.
2 feet. That seems a little excessive. I'm thinking we'll trim it back a little bit. We're thinking like 2 inches of vertical and then a 1-inch bevel at a 45-degree angle there to kind of dress up the top of the post. It doesn't need to be fancy, but just to give it a little bit of something. I mean, hey.
I like that. I mean, 2 to 3. I mean, I wouldn't go less than that.
No, I think that's the bare minimum. It could go more,
Want
but
to go more?
I don't think so. I think I want to do that right there. That looks like it to me.
Cool. We done? Or are you gonna say
Well,
a bear joke?
I mean, isn't the rail going to be in the way though, right here? Like,
No, it's So the rail's going.
oh yeah, right. Hey, by the way, I forgot to mention. You took all the measurements for the rails, the metal ones.
I've been thinking about that.
All right, you texted me the dimensions,
Right.
and I built the rails
Right.
to your exact
Yes.
specification. So I hope they fit. That's all I'm saying. I hope they fit, and if they don't, then I'm going to be, I don't know, I'm going to be disappointed in something. Me and Arlo were racking our little carpenter brains here to figure out how we can attach this rail to the wall and to the post on the ends without having any visible brackets like this. I call this a tab. And we're gonna use this on the top to fasten it through the drywall into the framing with some standard decking screws here.
And that'll get hidden by the wood.
Yeah, and the beauty of the wood cap is that we can hollow out a spot, where this will be hidden.
Right.
Okay, that's great, but what about the bottom? Well, if I would have been smart, we would have done the same thing on the bottom before the baseboard went in. Anyway, we didn't do it. So what we came up with, this is actually Arlo's idea, is this little tab we're gonna screw to the wall in this position here. It'll be installed before the rail goes in, and then you can see I have a hole pre-drilled here in the top, and we'll use a self-tapping heavy-duty screw to go down through there and pre-drill a hole into this and tap it into that. Now this little cutout you see is necessary for the rail to slide down on top of this, but this will be covered by the baseboard. So
That'll work.
in theory, it's all hidden, it's all secured, it's all real good.
That's pretty custom setup.
I mean, hey, I don't
It's
know.
gonna be a floating handrail.
Yeah. It'll look cool. I like it.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Hey, I feel like we should mention that we put solid blocking behind this drywall a long time ago.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this wouldn't work at all if you
We didn't use
didn't plan ahead.
drywall anchors.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd have to. I don't know what you'd do.
It'd be bad.
Yeah, you'd have to put a post like that runs down through the floor
Did I
framing.
just do
And you
that?
still have to have blocking for
Did
the
you paint in
post.
here? Did I already do that?
Yeah, you already scuffed it.
This episode of Building a Mountain Cabin is brought to you by Skillshare, so thank you to Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring and creative classes for anyone who loves learning. Invest in yourself and your personal growth. Continuing to learn or grow for things I do for work or things I do for fun is really important for my personal fulfillment. So if you have a specific skill you're looking to learn, Skillshare is the perfect place to start. The class that I've been taking this week that I would really recommend is Storytelling Through Film, How to Create Engaging Videos for YouTube with Thomas Dazier. And he's the video editor for Yes Theory. And if you're looking to get your content noticed online, save yourself the heartache that I did by trying to learn most of this stuff myself, and just watch this class. You can get a deeper understanding and a better skill set on just about any topic using Skillshare. So be one of the first 1,000 of my viewers to sign up through the link in my description, and you'll get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your own creativity today.
Now these ends are kind of sharp, so just have to be careful on the drywall there. So go right beside it first, and then we'll see if I can get in.
Does it fit?
I think this bracket is all nice. No.
Sorry, Arlo, what did you just say?
I said that is like the perfect fit. Who measured that?
I measured it, Jamie.
It
was me.
I doubted you.
I kind of sounded like...
I didn't say anything like that.
Okay, all right.
And I think that screw's going right in that baseboard. If you look at it.
Yeah, cool. Keep hold of it. Pull on the chain a little. Pull tension on the chain. Yep. Okay, now down. I'm just saying don't let it all on me.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, now I'm just gonna hold it out and then y'all get down and move the scaffolding.
You just barely fit under here.
I would have hit my head 10 times already. Actually, I've caught it out of my peripheral when I'm already under it and like, oh, watch out. But then I
Yeah,
fit.
that wasn't there before.
No.
Your glasses. Put your glasses down. Now you fit.
Oh, I got my boots on though. That's the thing.
you're jacked up.
I got my
Jamie
boots
is
on.
Not that much taller than me.
That's the boots.
He had you fooled.
You might want to touch this blade.
I ain't touching. Okay.
Either that oak is really hard or that blade is really dull.
No, I
was
think
really
it's
sharp.
that the sawdust has
Really?
nowhere to
Any more
go. I
blades?
think it's just shoveling around in there.
No, I do not.
You don't have any more of these?
I may have got rid of all that kind.
Wow!
Holy moly!
Got rid of them.
Well, I mean, I may have given them away to you or Jason or anybody that you know. All right, I'm flying parallel.
It's gonna go.
He's gonna go?
Let's take it all the way down and make sure we got a good.
Oh yeah.
So it's polymer.
Those guys will love
Should I do double bead?
This is
And seal up those screw holes. We don't want any leaks.
Okay.
Good?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, come on.
Yeah, don't break it out.
I'm just barely snugging it. There. Okay, let's set it down right there. Roll it. Tippy. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way to the drywall.
Wow, that's taking a long time.
Okay. Now it's pre-drilled and threaded. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure that every other trim carpenter is just like me. And what I mean by that is that they keep a bag of their favorite craft art brushes in the truck.
That is a mixed bag is what I'd call it.
They come in handy. They're all different sizes and shapes. And look, 25 pieces.
It was probably like $2.
It's a couple dollars, man. I use these things so much. It's an indispensable.
I think you're right on that.
So look, they've got chip brushes. Nice ones. Yeah.
Pro tip, get a $1 bag of mix bag.
And I'm sure your kids probably already have a bunch. You could just steal all of those if you don't want to buy any. It'd be cheap.
Pro tip. How you doing mentally here, Ray?
I'm making it, dude. I'm making it.
I'm sort of stressed out just watching you paint this.
Are you?
I think you've overcome. You're just calm.
I mean, once
Somehow.
once you do it enough times, like you can either stress out about it or you just do it, man. You know?
I think it's the ample hat tip you got going on that's really helping you.
Well, you have to have that.
What is that doing for you?
It's helping the brush somehow. The tip.
I've never seen Jamie scared of hot sauce, but if you missed it in the other video, he put the whole neck worth on one part of his meal and then ate it. Yeah. And then he almost couldn't work. He had to lay down.
I had to lay down for an hour.
Yeah, so right now, he's passing. I'm gonna show you how, with hot sauce like this, where it'll eat you alive, this is how you should apply it. You gotta tap the bottle. See that, Jamie?
I see, I'm watching.
So that you get a couple, that's all you need.
I don't know.
See, you can't tell the difference, unlike when Jamie did it and it went down 2 inches from where it was. Now that's gonna be good.
I thought something was bad gonna happen to me. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm
this is
pretty
not
convinced that you probably did do something bad to your toilet later.
good. Woo!
I don't know. Yeah, I see why you were complaining. Just that much. I'm like,
It's hot.
it's real hot.
Yeah, you should try drinking half of it.
I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna do it. We're gonna take just a second right before it storms on us to go over something that's become a very important tool to us on the job, and that's the cordless circular saw, AKA skill saw. That's a brand, by the way. And we got 5 of them here today. This is just what we pulled out of our trucks, and there's what, 5 of us on the job, 5 saws?
Yeah.
And so they're super important. So we're gonna tell you the pros and cons of each one of these. Like, not really like which one's the best, but pros and cons.
Well, you can't pick a best one because they all kind of serve a little bit different purposes.
They do.
Let's go over some standard features. They all have a rafter hook. Look at this. So you can climb up a ladder, you can hook it on your ladder or some framing. What else do they all have? They all tilt and bevel and make all the same types of adjustments. So that's not really a factor here. Let's just talk about like power, size, and ease of operation for
How much
what
you
you're doing.
just like using them for
All
different
right.
things.
Well, let's start with the small ones.
Okay, so
Okay.
down here at the end of the line, we've got the Makita, and this is Arlo's saw. Durability, this thing's been around 5+ years on a job site. It's a 6.5 left blade, and that's more of a personal preference, I think.
I think
blade.
almost all of these size are left blade. I don't know why.
Yeah.
This particular size.
Yeah, so
Not
this
sure.
is really lightweight. If we got to do something like overhead or like detailed where you just want really control of the saw,
So you're holding it sideways
Yeah.
and you're cutting off
Yeah.
a post or something like
this
that?
is the saw for that. It's got a reinforced base plate here,
Magnesium, I think.
magnesium, nice rafter hook. Overall, no complaints on this saw, and it's been very durable.
Jono's rocking the Milwaukee. So you might notice that each of us has our own set of tools and we have our own set of batteries.
brand.
Yeah, your own. Yeah, I don't know. So we actually represent a pretty broad,
Yeah,
spectrum
I think we're just
of tools
missing
here.
rigid. Would be the
Nobody
one big
on
one.
our crew has rigid, so I would like
Because-
to try it.
Yeah, that's mainly a Home Depot brand, and that's like an hour and a half from here.
Well, everybody knows Milwaukee is a great brand. There's no disputing that. This is a well-built saw. It's got a really nice cast-looking base plate, and
And it's 18 volt, just like the first one.
It's
Let's
a little
mention that.
heavier. Okay, so both
Yeah.
of the 6s or 6.5s
Yeah.
are 18 volt.
Yep,
Okay.
they are.
You might see here that the power is proportional to the blade size.
That's right. Smaller blade, less power.
Feels good. Nice,
My-
nice increments here.
Yeah, everything is built nice. My one con to this saw is that the guard is a little stiff, and if you don't set the depth on the base plate, like drop it down to represent the material thickness you're going to be cutting,
Right.
this sometimes will snag and it won't go, and you have to manually do that. So this
Okay.
is, if I had one con, they could lighten up the spring on this just a little bit.
All right, and I got to say one more thing about the 6.5s. Almost all of them have an 1.5 inches from the blade to this side of the base plate.
Yep.
an inch and a half, because that's a common dimension, and also 3.5. You see, we got 3 and then plus that little bit. So you can rip the width of a 2x4 without measuring. You just run the edge of the thing down it, boom, 3.5. You can make studs out of all kinds of scraps. I really like that about this saw.
Next, we got Ray's saw, the DeWalt, or DeWalt. How do you say it?
DeWalt.
DeWalt. So out of all the saws, this is the only one with the capability. This is the Flex Volt to jump up to a 60 volt. Is that right?
Yeah.
If you get a 60 volt battery, you can take this 20 off, put a 60 on there. This thing is like supercharged.
You better hold on tight.
You better hang on. So that is nice. Cons of this thing, the base plate I think is the flimsiest and cheapest out of all of them we have.
Yeah, it looks like a thinner stamped kind of material, although it hasn't caused any
We've
trouble.
not had any trouble with it, and the rafter hook is just not as beefy. But overall, again, this is a good machine. We have had no trouble with it. This is the 7 1/4 blade, right blade. So we're getting up into like what would be a normal corded saw kind of setup. Right blade, 7 1/4, 20 volt.
All right, let's talk about the Flex saw. This is the 24 volt,
Okay.
7 1/4 saw. I've been using this one for a little over a year now. I've dropped it a lot of times and it still cuts nice and square. Although I think almost all of these have a micro adjustment for the bottom out when you set the angle and then you hit it back to 0. If it's not at 0, you can adjust it so that it will be back at 0. This saw is a little heavier.
It is. It's just like a beefier saw than the DeWalt, even though it's the same style.
It's good for one-handed cuts on the flat, but if
Yeah.
you're going to go up on the angle and you got to hold it one hand,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a stretch for this
But
one.
I think it does have a little more power, 24 volt. I have no complaints except for it is heavier, and maybe that's what you get when you get a more durable, kind of like professional grade tool. It's just a little heavier.
Perhaps.
So if I had a con, that would be it. But it does have good power. It comes with a big battery. This isn't the battery it came with. I think it comes with an 8 amp hour.
It comes with an
Ampere.
amperes.
battery, which the battery size does matter, like the amp hour size of
You
your
heard
battery.
it here, folks.
It does.
Battery.
There's probably been videos about does it matter? I'm like, yes,
It does matter. Yeah, you
So-
can put all the batteries, though, even the small batteries.
Yeah,
if
it'll
you-
run it.
In a pinch, if you just need to cut some stuff and all your batteries are dead, put the little one on there, make a few cuts until your bigger batteries charge. And they do charge fast.
They do. Yeah, that's a nice thing about them.
All right, moving on.
Last on the list is the rear-handled flex saw, and this thing is also 24 volt, and I call it the Larry Hahn saw in memory of the late Larry Hahn, who had left blade, rear-handled, worm drive saws that weighed a ton like this does, and he just chopped stuff like crazy without even making marks or measuring it look like. So
Hey.
I call it the Larry Hahn, but this thing has got definitely the most power, the longest runtime, and it's
Look at that
partly
battery.
it's a stacked lithium battery, which is different, and it's a 10 amp hour.
That's the biggest job site battery that we have.
Yeah, so this will really cut like framing lumber, like
You know,
almost an entire day, depending on what you're doing.
just to look at this thing, it looks like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at the scale of it and like the body, it just like all bulked up.
Yeah.
She done bulked up.
So my thoughts are, I didn't really like the left blade till I used it a while and realized that it's pretty nice for sighting down the line you're cutting, and having the rear handle helps you steer that easier. I do like that. And it just seems to just gnaw through stuff. Like you can just shove it through material without having to baby it.
A little bind, a little pinch, no problem. Just push harder.
So yeah, I wouldn't cut like really fine material with this, but for framing, it's great. It does have a dust port, so you can hook a vacuum to it. And it also has a hard stop at different degree measurements if you're going to set the bevel cut. So it feels like
You know what this reminds me of? I'm just thinking here. This just feels like a chainsaw, man.
It does. Yeah, two-hand grip.
I mean, you get a good grip on it, you know? That's nice. All right, so what does all this boil down to? For me, if I had to pick one saw, I would pick the one that I have in my truck, which is the Flex saw. It's kind of middle of the road for size, middle of the road for power, kind of the do everything kind of saw. I think just having a little one,
This is like
I would, I mean, this size, whatever,
Okay.
the mid size, okay?
Okay.
If I only had the Larry Hahn, I'd be struggling on the smaller stuff. If I
Yeah.
only had the little saw, I'd be struggling with the bigger stuff. But I think we have the kind of unique luxury to have 5 trucks here full of tools.
that is a unique luxury.
And we
Yeah.
have every size and every type
and
represented.
That's interesting, because a lot of times I'm like, Arlo, I need your saw. Like up
Right.
there on that post where I didn't want to cut, you know, I had to cut like sideways, and
Yes.
I used Arlo's saw.
If you're gonna, I think if you're doing, would you say if you're doing more finish work, probably the lighter one.
The
is
lighter,
better,
the
'cause
6.5.
You can steer it and go where you want to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. If you're doing big framing, forget the 6.5. If you're not doing any finish work, forget 6.5.
I would
That's
see,
what I would say.
if you can get 5 or 6 good buddies that all buy tools, just hang out with them.
Yeah.
And that way you can try them all.
Yeah, but the bottom of the line is these things are all better to me than having a corded saw. Because you're not having to get tangled up.
Yeah.
You're not stuck to one place. You can walk over here, cut a board. Walk over there, cut a board.
There's only a few rare circumstances where I would consider going to the truck and getting a cord and getting a saw.
Like your battery's dead.
Big risk.
Yeah.
All right, let's cut this segment and get some real work
Say,
done.
like, what's really going to happen is, like, you're going to pick the saw that you have the most batteries for, right?
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. I mean,
That's the real answer. Get a saw that you have the most batteries for already, and then you'll love it. We didn't need to do any of that. That was the real answer.
man.
You like batteries? Get the saw that matches your batteries. Coming down the home stretch. How many sets of stairs do you think you've built in your life, Arlo?
man, I don't know, but I'll tell you what, it is a lot.
It's a lot. I'm gonna guess upwards of 50. What do you
Oh,
think
no,
that's?
I've got, it's hundreds.
Oh, it's hundreds. Wow.
It's
Okay, that's
easy.
even
It's
more
easy.
than I thought.
I'd go hundreds easy.
Wow.